Good morning, everyone. It is 10:39 right now. I'm pretty well all packed up and ready to run out the door. I'm here in Alor Setar, right across the street from a humongous mall. It's a humongous mall. Um, this is June 17th. This makes day number 3 here in Malaysia. I'm up north. Alor Setar is up north. I just crossed the border a few days ago, and I'm heading south. Not because I don't want to hang around and see what's up here in the north. I would prefer to I prefer to get down to where the accommodations are a little bit cheaper, especially with the heavy tax that's upon everything. There's when you get a room through Booking.com doesn't seem as good as Agoda. Agoda seems like they're carrying the majority of all the rooms here, or there's something going on with Booking.com where I can't find any type of cheap accommodations, but usually I'll be able to find maybe at least one that's around my $10 level. And for anybody that's new to the channel and don't know the way my style and the way I usually roll is, if it's $10 or less, I will spring for the accommodation, the luxuries of the accommodation, the bed, the warm room, being dry, and the hot shower and stuff like that. But if it's over $10, I'd rather just throw up my hammock and camp somewhere, or even if it's just doing a ground camp. I'm not impartial to actually just doing a ground camp. I got like one of those sun visors that you put up on the inside of your car when you're parked, so the inside of your car doesn't get like extremely hot. I found one that was really a very nice big sized one that's made out of like that space blanket type material, and it's also like the bubble pop stuff. So there's like dead air space in between it, and it actually makes a really good ground mat, and it folds up very small. But today's plan really is to get down to Georgetown. Georgetown, from where I'm at, is 115 kilometers still away. So that's a pretty hefty jump all in one day. But like I said, yesterday there's some spots up north of it, that's some camping grounds that is only 43 kilometers from here. But I was checking the weather, and it looks like we're going to have a repeat of yesterday. It does seem like the storm clouds have followed me over. And it looks like it's going to be off and on raining today up till about 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. It looks like 8 or 9 o'clock is when the storm will start moving out, and the rest of the day just be overcast. So everything's going to be wrapped up in bags. Yesterday I wasn't prepared. I looked at the sky and I was like, oh, it looks nice, right? No clouds and stuff like that. So I didn't even bother checking the weather. I just kind of got on my bike and went, and then the first half of the day was very nice, and then when the storm moved in, it hit and just kept going and going and going, and then it eventually eased off after I got here. So room accommodations, I'm figuring there's about $3 in tax, so like on the average. There's also a 10 ringgit tax that one of the people that's been giving me a great advice on my travels, and usually on advice about YouTube and stuff like that, was Doug. He says a lot of times there's a 10 ringgit tax, and I don't think I've ran into that yet. But I've ran into city taxes and stuff like that, which are more like 5 ringgit and stuff, because but it does seem like after all the different taxes, it comes out to almost $3. So like when I got a room, this room was $9. after all the taxes and stuff. Like I said, I haven't seen the 10 ringgit tax yet on my paperwork, but I might just be overlooking it. Yeah, it comes out to about $2-3 because it was like almost $13. So that's like $3 taxes. So I'll just have to mentally, until I figure out, there's a trick to it. I'll just mentally add. I'm gonna start adding $3 to the price. So if it's a $7 room, it's actually a $10 room, and that way I can be a little more careful about staying under my $10 budget. And like I said, that's not that I can't afford the $10 budget. It's just the less I spend, the longer I can go. That's just how it is. If I go blowing through all my money and stuff that I worked for and stuff, then I'll just be right back into the work world. Because I'm not gonna go back to one of those hand-to-mouth existences where it's like the amount of money that I make is the exact same amount of money that I spend every month. I can't do that. I need to have a small nest egg. It gives there's such a serenity of mind. That knowing when you get hit with really bad storm or anything like that, you have money where you can go get into a hotel room. I actually started doing that early in my travels when I was still hand-to-mouth existence. I realized it was always very, very beneficial to my survival to have 3 to 4 days worth of 3 to 4 days worth of hotel rooms, in the savings account. But in the United States, a hotel room was averaging $40 to $60 for a Motel 6. That's the cheap one. And this was before all the apps and stuff. So you kind of just had to know that the Motel 8, the Super 8, and the Motel 6 were the two cheapest usually ones that you could go to. And then just basically you could kind of do knock, 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 but you're going to get similar prices in the same places. So you can't do a comparison shop. You kind of have to just trust that you're getting the cheapest one. But who knows? Now we can do it on an app where it's like, okay, this one is, let's just say this one's like $40 here, but right around the corner there's one for $25. That wasn't always possible back then. You might overlook that one for $25. So definitely the smartphone has made it a lot easier and a lot cheaper to travel. So it pays for itself. It always does. That's why you see a lot of homeless people with phones. Well, one, because of Obama phones and stuff like that, they realized it's beneficial for everybody. It's hard to get back on your feet and get a job and everything like that without a phone. Actually, it's nearly impossible. It really is, because they need contact numbers and all that stuff. So the old days where you could just get a job and show up the next day, and as long as you showed up, that's all that really mattered. Those days are pretty well long gone. It's almost like, I know in Vegas and stuff like that, they even do a credit check. Some spot does a credit check, and if you have a bad credit, you can't get a job. And that's crazy, because usually you need a job to pay off your bad credit, and if you have bad credit and you can't get a job to pay off that bad credit, it's one of those non-ending vicious cycles and stuff. And a lot of people got very upset when they started doing credit checks and stuff like that, because their mentality in Vegas, it's a right to work state. I mean, you don't have the right to work. It's like they can fire you because they don't like a haircut. The trick is, though, once you pull unemployment, if you didn't give a real good reason why you fired them, then the unemployment office turns around and charges you for the money that they give to that person for being unemployed. So you have to write up a paperwork, so if you're going to fire someone, you start writing them up for everything. That way you build up a paper evidence that they were a bad employee. So when he goes in to do unemployment, get money from unemployment, and then unemployment turns around and tries to get the casino to pay for it, they say, no, look, this is a bad employee, right? And there's a trick to that. There's a 3-month, audition time anyway. That's where you go in, and within 3 months they have a choice to either let you go or keep you. But as soon as that 3 months is up and they keep you, it's awesome. They give you insurance, they give you 401k, they give you all these benefits. You're still only getting paid minimum wage as a dealer because all your real money comes from tip money, right? So almost everybody in a casino is only getting paid minimum wage except for the bosses, you know, which is strange. But yeah, like, so if you think a dealer's actually working for the casino to take your money, nah, well, some of them have that attitude. Some of the dealers do. But the majority of the dealers want to see you succeed because if you don't win money, they're not going to get tip money. So yeah, it's a weird work environment. I did it for 10 years of my life, and yeah, it was strange. And there was a reason why I went for casino work anyway, is because I just didn't want to work. I felt casino work was a strange job, you know, something different, a casino dealer and stuff like that. And I was still resisting going in and being a 9-to-5 type of work person, you know. I still wanted to fight the system, you know. I didn't want to work for the man, but we all have to work for the man eventually. But anyway, that's a ramble, guys. Sorry. But so I'm gonna start heading towards Georgetown. Like I said, I'll see how far I get. I'm not in a big hurry anymore. I got 3 months on this. So I'm going to take my time. If there's somewhere that pops up in between that looks like a great spot to just kick back my heels and camp, I will. Today, though, it depends on how wet I get, honestly. And it's almost useless wearing rain gear on a bicycle because you're sweating so much and that doesn't have anywhere to evaporate to. So you're soaked on the inside, and after a while you're just as soaked on the inside as you are on the outside. The only difference is the rain gear is holding in a little body heat, you know, but if it's warm out, you don't need that body heat, you know what I'm saying? You don't need to stew in your own swamp, you know, so it's like, yeah, yesterday I did that. I was wearing my rain gear and a splash from the side, and after a while I'm like, I'm just as wet, man. This is like pointless. It's better just take off your shirt and everything and just act like it's a hot summer day and roll down with just your shorts on, roll down the road. So which road I'm on, it looks like, I'm not sure if Google's going to tell me. Yeah, Google does not want to tell me, so give me a second. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, Google is being secretive of the names of the streets. It looks like there is a coastal road, the one that is closest to the coast that I can get. Although there looks like there's a very, very small one on the coast. The biggest one looks like the K1, but then there's one that's very close to the coast. It's called the K362. And that looks like that might be a very nice route for a while. It's probably a smaller residential streets and stuff like that. K1 is the major one though. Well, the more major one. And then the one that Google has down as the big major one here is the 1. And then of course you have the north-south expressway, which I'm going to stay off of. Expressways are not my thing. I'm not sure if you can even ride your bicycle on expressways. I don't know what the rules are yet, the laws are yet. I'll Google it when I get off here. Yeah, guys, so it's going on 11 o'clock. I'm going to get on downstairs and start pedaling before the rain sets in and still dry out. So, all right, let's hit the road. Okay, it looks like we got about 6.5 kilometers to go, and then we swing west to get over to the coast, and we're going to be taking that coastal route. I'm going to go ahead and start. For all you guys that don't know, Strava went out. Everybody preferred the Strava, and actually I do too, the more detailed. So if I'm only down to one app, and I'm only using one app, it's always going to be the Strava first. And only going to use the Revive or Relive as a secondary if I want that 3D map. but it does hog up all my processing time. So when I run anything like YouTube in the background, it it anytime I'm running things as like a third app, then it starts having problems. My phone's like on its last leg anyway. I mean, it starts, flickering and stuff like that when the processor starts working too hard. That caused me to lose my work one time. I did all the editing stuff, and as I was saving it in the UCut app, I decided to jump on YouTube and start watching some videos, and I just had too many things going on at once, and UCut shut down. My phone had literally started over, right? So when it rebooted up, UCut couldn't find the files. So when I tried to resave my work on UCut, it couldn't find the files. Even though the files were still there, I didn't lose any of the material. I just had to put them back in the proper order, do all the fading and all this stuff, and that takes a while. It takes like 2 hours, So that was very disheartening. That was one of those days I just didn't like it. So I decided, well, I'm not going to upload tonight. I'll try and do this again tomorrow and stuff. So yeah, so until I get a phone with a good processor, and my main thing is I want to find one that has no problems running the most complicated games on. I want the best processor. That's the main thing. I have a camera, but I would like a nice secondary camera too. But also what Hidden Hammock told me, just make sure he does all his editing and stuff on his phone. Just make sure it has a lot of memory. And now that the phones are phasing out SD cards, if you don't start with a lot of like 1 terabyte of memory, there's no way to really expand it, So but you're gonna pay a pretty price. I was just looking at the iPhone 14 in there. 1 terabyte iPhone 14 is Pro Max was, because you got to get the Pro Max before you're going to get the terabyte, right? So the 14, which is only one off from what Hidden Hammock recommended, he was recommending the 13. It was $900. That's how much it came out to. I was like, whoa, that's, I can get the 16, maybe not the Pro Max 16, but I can get the 16 for like 800. The 16E is, and that's the newest processor. 16E is actually 600, and it's only like a few $100s more just to get the 16. So it's like, I think that's Apple's strategy. They're not making like a entry-level phone. They're trying to make you step up out of entry level, and then you're just so close to getting to the next step up that you're like, well, I'll just get the 16 instead of the 16E. But they're marketing it as an entry-level phone, the 16E. So I think it's all marketing ploy. But anyway, yeah. So I got to start looking for the phone, because this thing, and if you don't notice, the crack is going all the way around now. Where they glued it back, it's actually done the whole U shape. So it starts on this side over here, and it goes all the way around. So that's probably maybe why I'm having problems with the screen a little bit. But anyway, guys, I'm babbling. It's time to get going. I'm going to start recording the Relive anyway. But between the two, Strava is going to be the one that I actually stick with. Yeah, so like right now I'm trying to run Google Maps too, and it's already starting to flicker a little. So that's not a good thing. All right, guys, let's get going. And I honestly don't see the weather. It was calling for rain off and on today, and I'm not seeing it in the clouds or anything. Look at that blue sky. There's a little bit. Oh, come on, guys. Okay. No problem. Hey guys, I haven't really gone over the condition of my bike in a while. So I do have a broken spoke here. This is one of the new ones that he put in. But you know, I'm pretty used to that extra weight on the back breaking these spokes. Other than that, I have a front tire that's getting pretty dang bald. Yeah, it's balding out. It's probably gonna need to be replaced pretty soon. I'm actually surprised how well it held up to this point, because it didn't look like it was going to hold that much long. Other than that, everything is getting, I lost on my back rack, I lost a nut, but I was able to salvage one off this. It's an old bike lock that I just haven't, the lock rusted shut. All the locks have been rusting shut. I just threw one away today, because last night I put the key in, barely got it open, decided to use it anyway, and this morning it was very hard to actually unlock, so I decided I'm not going to use it again, and otherwise I might have to end up, if I lock my bike, I might end up having to cut it sometime. Seat's really worn down. Look at that bad boy. I mean, that is worn. It's got age cracks on it. Everything's rusting on it pretty good. Yeah, everything's, rusting up pretty good on it. You can see like the rust right here that's coming through. There's rust bubbles coming up through here. Yeah, they're just coming off. But it's a cheap ass bicycle. There's rust under here. I know that. Yeah, you see under the paint there's rust. Other than that though, actually it's for the minimum amount of maintenance that I actually do on it. I do oil the chain once in a while. I've actually used baby oil to oil my chains before, just because less friction is better, regardless of what oil type I have. Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't broken the chain yet. And these are the bearings inside these. The pedals here they're shot, but that's okay. They still spin. I think this one's bending a little. Yeah, you can see the bearings are broken on the inside in there, but that's okay. It kind of catches a little bit, but they're just free floating. Eventually this pedal I think is going to be coming off. Outside of the rust, and all that. And you can see how bad the rust is on that. And you can see the rust here. Yeah, this bad boy's getting this bad boy is rusting up. There's a lot of rust there. But it's a cheap bicycle, man. I know if I spent a lot more money on a bicycle, I would definitely have to take care of it a lot better than I take care of this one. And I talked about, it's good to have, I can see the benefit in actually having better equipment. I always knew that, though. It's not like homeless people, it's the fact is homeless people don't spend a lot of money because they can't carry a lot of stuff, Unless those people throw up their hands and they eventually end up getting a shopping cart. You carry too much stuff. I knew people that pushed around shopping carts. And it was just, the fact is like, they got tired of carrying a backpack. Then you get a shopping cart, and then that shopping cart fills up with stuff. And it just becomes very easy to push a shopping cart. And it's one of those things is you don't be that guy. Don't be the shopping cart guy, Yes, people frown upon that. And there's one thing about carrying around a backpack. A lot of times that is a red flag that you're a homeless person. But if you're pushing a shopping cart, that's all out, like a fluorescent sign saying, "Hey, I'm homeless" and stuff. And being homeless is, if you notice, homeless people will walk down back alleys, and you find shortcuts through towns and stuff where you're not walking directly down the middle of the sidewalk and stuff. Because the more you're out of sight, the more you're out of mind, the more you're out of the people calling the police and complaining all the time, because the police allow your presence until there's enough complaints about you. And then if you start getting too noticed, and they by the people, and the people start complaining to the cops, and that's when the cops come up. But usually they'll leave you alone up to that point, so, and that's usually about a week. You got about a week, maybe 2 weeks in a place. And there are what's called acceptable home bums. There are certain homeless people they just know have been there forever, and they leave them alone. But once they start having new people coming in, that's when they're like, no, we're not accepting any more here. This hotel is full. So I don't know why I went down that rabbit hole, but I did. So yeah, my bike's actually holding up. Oh, it was equipment. It, like a good backpack with a good internal frame or external frame, is worth the extra money. Yeah, you can go get a backpack that's like a little school backpack for $10 and stuff like that. But the fact is with a good backpack, it's better to spend $80, $90, $100 on a better backpack from the military surplus store or whatever. Maybe not $300 or $400 now, like at REI. That's more geared for the people that are just recreational hikers and campers and stuff, because you will go through backpacks, living this way. Mostly because they're stolen. Honestly, straight up, that's what happens the most. I remember when I was living in a homeless shelter for about a year. I mean, it was a long stretch in Phoenix. I had to get used to not having stuff because I was still in that survivalist mentality. So I'd get a nice military backpack, and then I'd start filling it with stuff that I thought I needed, like more or less the military or the survivalist, mindset, like containers and water filters or stuff like this, or start building stuff up so I could get out. My whole plan to leave the homeless shelter was just to split, but I actually had to be there for a reason. I had to take some stupid classes, and anyway, that's a different story. But every time I got enough, like where I had good equipment in my backpack, I'm like, yeah, I'm set. It's a good balance. I got a great balance of what I need. So, and I'd be like 10 feet away from my backpack, someone walk by and grab it. Just you sneeze one direction, you look back and your backpack's gone. The theft in Phoenix was super high when it came to the homeless communities and stuff. They are all drug addicts, and they are all thieves, and that's just, it is what it is. If you don't believe me, go down on I think 11th Street and Jefferson. That's where it starts, and then it goes on for like 4 blocks to Skid Row. and just drive through that, and you'll see how bad it is. It's one of the worst places, one of the worst skid rows I've ever been to, and I've been to quite a few homeless shelters. But that's because you take advantage of them. Sometimes when you're snowbirding or something like that, you end up getting stuck in the winter areas, and yeah, it's good to utilize some of the homeless shelters, preferably the dry shelters, you know, that don't let people in that are on drugs or drunk, you know. Those are a lot nicer. But I mentioned that before. Anyway, guys, that's just a ramble. I'm gonna get back out and start pushing. My bike is actually holding up for no maintenance, no care on it really, except for flat tires fixing. And I have taken it in to actually get the derailleurs fixed, but I've kind of given up on the derailleurs. They're crappy derailleurs, and I just keep it in one gear. Well, no, I do switch gears, but I know there's certain gears that just don't work as good as the others, and I usually avoid those. So, yeah, there's old Chitty Bang Bang is still making its way down the road. Still hasn't learned to fly yet. Okay, this is the one. I came from this direction. I had to cross this thing because there's no turnover down except for way down there. So it's just crazy that they do roads like this. So this is where the one meets up with the K132. So this is the K132. This will take me down to the coastal route. Let's see. Yeah, this will take me down to the coastal route. So yeah, I had to cross the barrier, but now I'm heading out. Okay, this is where the K132, which is this road right here I just came off of. It goes through the rice paddies. This is where it meets up with the K1. And if I go down about 2.3 kilometers, I figured out how to actually make Google Maps pull up the roads names if you actually put in that you're actually going there. So you actually have to start up the navigation to actually get the names of the roads to come up on Google Maps sometimes. So I'll be on the K1 for about 2.3 kilometers, and then there's a K362 that'll actually take me even closer to the coast. So that's the plan, guys. That was a nice little ride through the rice paddies. Oh, actually, I'm still in the rice paddies. I'm just came off the K1, which is right over that way. This is the K362 coming down this way and going off that way. So, but there is a different road. If I go down this way and then turn to the left, which will be taking me westbound, there's one more small little road. I'm not sure if this comes up, but if I go around this way, there's a very small, probably unnamed road that looks like I can take it for a while. So I'm gonna go look for that one down that way, and hopefully it's a nice paved one. There it is. It's down this way. Let's see. Ooh-wee. Okay, I got through that with one hand. Yeah, I don't have a backpack to put my chest mount on yet. So, hey, it's a little paved. This is the road I was looking for. It's more like a paved trail. So, yeah, this is cool. I can dig this. Plenty of trees. Rice fields on one side. And trees on the other. Beautiful. All right, cool. Yeah, this goes on for a while too, I do believe. How long it's paved for, I don't know. And I really don't think there's a name for it. But there's one of the lizards. And that's where the pave stopped. That's okay. It's still a nice trail though. Yeah, that's why I got the chest mount, so I could film this. Is a little dangerous with one hand. With the backpack mount, I just need to get another. I need to get like a cheap backpack that I can use. Like right now, I'll probably have to go ahead and stop, guys. Because, yeah. And I'll get a backpack that way I can film more things like this. Because I would like to just run this whole trail. I don't think I could safely do it with one hand. Okay, guys. This is the one I was looking for. See if there's a name for it. Yeah, I think it's just an unnamed farmer's trail. Yeah. So I'm going to stay on it for a while. I'll film as much as I can. It's just beautiful country. Look at that. And there's no sign of rain right now. But those are the type of clouds that'll do it. Well, gotta remember to pause a little before I start speaking. Otherwise, when I fade one video into another video, if I drag out the fade at all or anything, the fade usually takes 1 second to go from one to the other. But I can shorten the fade to like a half second, but then it gets more like choppy, like, you know, from one scene to the other. Or I can drag the fade out, and there's different fades, like one slides to the other one, and you know, I usually like the mixed fade where one fades away and one fades in. Usually it's always one, if you just hit random, just mix, is 1 second, but then you can expand it all the way up to, I think, 3 seconds. And the longer you get, the more you have one frame fade out to the next frame. It comes in, and 1.7 is what I usually like. But if I start talking right away, usually the mix will carry over the mix will usually carry over the vocalization. As the one picture is fading away, it carries along that vocal, and then starts into the other one and pulls out the, you know, even though the picture's not fully appeared yet, it starts the vocal first. Anyway, all you people that have been doing editing, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but this is for people that might not know the process. So anyway, so if I hit record and I just jump right into it without giving a small little pause, then I have a hard time transitioning from one to the other if I want to keep that. So that's why when I start a lot of videos, I'm doing it out of habit. But luckily, I always start with anyway or so, you know, and that's meaningless. I can actually fade right over that. So and I do that out of habit. I don't do that on purpose, you know. I just I don't know, it's a habit. But so I got out the chest mount because I forgot about this backpack strap. And although there's not backpack strap, but this little man purse fanny pack goes over the shoulder, I'm going to see if this actually mounts up. Although it's a little sideways, the weight should straighten it out, and maybe I can run this trail with that. So I'm going to see if it's a possibility. Then I don't have to invest in a cheap little backpack to have my chest mount. So all right, guys, that's all. I wanted to tune you guys in and say I think I've figured out a solution. Well, experiment number 1, chest mount, didn't work out. It was shaky. It was 2.5 minutes of just staring at the ground and at my steering bars, and I was like, I don't even want to leave that in. I mean, normally I would just leave it in so you guys could see the process. I decided I was like, well, there's a setting on this where it keeps level with the horizon, right? Where it doesn't matter what you do, it keeps the horizon level, or at least what it can distinguish as the horizon. So I was going to set that, but the way that this sits in the chest mount, it's not forward facing, it's backwards facing, like selfie facing. And when it's in selfie mode, when it's filming in that mode, those options are not available, which they should change that in the upcoming Osmo 4, Pocket 4. They should actually think about waterproofing it and putting that option in. But yeah, I was surprised. I was like, oh, that option's not. So I came up with a different solution. With the chest mount, you can turn it sideways. So I turned it sideways and I velcroed it to my handlebars. And so I can actually check the camera level before I even start to roll. You know, I can actually look at it, make sure it's set in basically what I want. I won't be able to see what it looks like as I'm going. But yeah, I can actually, I can adjust it right here too. Adjust it right here and put it up a little bit better. So I'm going to try, this will be number, 2. Experimentation number 2 of mounting my camera to the handlebars. Well, yeah. Okay, actually I was wrong, so I'm going to correct myself. with the screen not like this but like this, so it fits into the chest mount. It seemed like it gave me the option to keep the horizon level, so that's the setting I have it on for the Osmo, for the DJI. And yeah, it looks actually like this might be a go ticket. This might be a good one. So hopefully this works out, guys. If it does, this is how I'm going to be rolling, with a little robot on the front. And I have to call it R2D2. Kind of reminds me of being in an X-Wing with R2D2. Alright, that's just me. Ooh. Yeah, you see, I wouldn't have been able to film this at all, because I need two hands for spots like that. This will open up a whole new little world of filming. I'm able to do this successfully, and I think it's working out. Yep. Now the DJI actually corrects for the side-to-side motion, but it doesn't correct for the up and down. It's not a gimbal for the up and down motion, just the side and side. So I don't know how these bumps are actually going to come out. Usually you either have a bounce in your picture, or you have a jarring effect that goes on in your pictures. If you hit a bump too hard, it jars kind of the footage. So I think that's about enough test footage for me for right now. I'll take it off and I'll look at it. But I think this will work out just fine. Go up and get in the shade. See how the screen looks. Don't do that. Yeah, screen looks good. Alright, guys. Okay, I just checked out the footage, and yeah, it has that jarring effect. So anytime I hit those bumps, it rattles the screen. So not any of the real bouncing like when you're walking and stuff, but you can see that, you know, that quick jarring effect. So that means two things. I'll just have to be conscious of that, so not do it like try and do that type of filming a little more on flat surfaces, like so like if I want to do long distance, like 4 times speed or something like that, I can film for a long distance and then zip through. That way you can see the countryside I'm going through. That has a benefit. And these trails, I think, with the bumps, I'm just gonna have to know that they're gonna be there a little bit, and you guys will know that too. It's just because the Osmo is not meant for the up and down; it's meant for the side to side. So, okay, but it doesn't look like super bad. It's got that jarring effect, and you can hear the rattle. You know, I don't know where that rattle comes from though. If that's my phone making that noise, or yeah, like when I shake the camera, it doesn't really make that noise. So that's good, I guess. And there's a benefit too, is this is a very big object, you know, and it doesn't really look expensive, but I can just leave that on my bicycle until take my camera out of it. And even if I did leave it in, it has a lock here, so it has like a a lock that you need to actually push down on to open it up, and it's all metal. So it's a big object. I don't want to take it in and out of my backpack all the time. So for the handlebars, it works nice. I can just take the Osmo out, and if I do accidentally leave it in, they would know. They would have to know to actually use that switch on the side to open it up and steal my camera, which I'm not planning on doing that. It's just more of a, it's a more of a ease of mind knowing, because I'm absent-minded a lot. Sometimes I forget what stories I tell you, so I repeat my stories. I know the ones that have been with me long enough. That's a good thing for the people that don't watch all my videos. They just jump in, they hear the story for the first time, but it's most likely I've told that story 3 times or 4 times. And I'm glad that you guys have been sticking with me and not saying, hey, Mr. Alzheimer's, we already heard it, Yeah. So, anyway, let's go forward, and yeah. This will work out for pretty good for now, for riding around. And when I get a backpack, if I want to do some hiking, we can do that too. Alright, we're going that way, guys. Gotta still film some of this the old classic way. Okay, I just got through that little spot right there. Just some houses and stuff, like fisherman style. And yeah, made it to this road. It is the unnamed road here that I was aiming for. About as close to the ocean as you can get. And looks like we got like a canal on one side, water inlet canal. Can't quite see the ocean through the, I don't know what type of trees those are. I don't know if they're mangroves or what. Those are eucalyptus on this side. Okay, I'm going up to what's supposed to be a campground. It says there's a park on that side, but it looks like a lot of residential. I'm not sure if it means a residential park, but they have something marked over here as a campground, so I'm gonna actually see what it might be. I don't think this is it. I'm going down this way just to see what, because almost anywhere could be a campground as long as I'm not camping in someone's backyard. Ooh, that's a little muddy that way. Gotta turn around here. I'm loaded down. I ended up getting some stuff to eat, stuff like that. Some top ramen, some garlic. I had to get another cold soaking jar because I threw away my last one because I wasn't using it enough. I figured it was just, dead weight. So I think Malaysia is going to be one of those places that I end up camping more. So if I'm going to camp more, I'm going to want a cold soaker. Just so I can bring food with me out to wherever I'm camping. Anyway. Yeah, this is the campsite. Looks like a pay-for one too. And it's roped off. You get over for the car. Hey, it's 6:53 right now, and the campground right behind me is actually a pay-for campground. So 1.9 kilometers down this way is a different one. It looks like it might be a primitive campground. That means one you don't pay for. And if not, from satellite view, it's showing that there's a lot of spots that looks like open tree places with trees and stuff that I could probably easily throw up my hammock for free. Anyway, it looks like we have about 45 minutes before sunset. About 3 fingers, right? So yeah, I'm gonna head on down this way farther and see what that's all about. Well, might have found the spot that I'm camping tonight. There's a few campgrounds around this way. I'm just wondering about the high tide. I'm trying to look at the debris line, and what the debris line will tell me how far up the water commonly comes up. That's, with all the trash and stuff, and it looks like the debris line goes all the way back. So I'm not sure. I don't want to be too far up here because look how flat it is all the way out to the water and stuff. So, and I checked high tide. They said it's 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. is supposed to be high tide. Well, we're well past that. So I'm not going to trust them. Usually at night, high tide comes in. I don't know what this house is. Like a little cabin. I don't want to camp too close to a campground just because I don't want to be like all in their face that I'm not paying, because they don't look like they're doing super well. And the only footprints I see out here on the sand was one other besides mine. So, yeah. So these are all my footprints. I'm just walking back on them. Yeah, okay. The trees that I saw on satellite are the ones over there, and those are just straight up a pretty steep mountain, and I figure I'm not doing that. Um, I'm located right next to a bird's nest farm, which just common everywhere. Sorry, I'm not sure how long that was out of frame, but it was. Yeah, it's not that bad of a place. And I'm thinking as long as I'm back to where about these tree lines are, you know, where the road is right here. And I'm thinking, honestly, I'm thinking like right here. There's a house right over there. Probably the owners of the bird farm right there, the bird's nest farm. But I'm not on their property anyway. And there's a canal that separates us between them and me anyway. Right, it's literally right on the other side of the road. So that's good to have those type of barriers. Yeah, guess I'll just find trees that are about 9 to 10 paces apart, and 9 paces being the sweet zone. And this looks like my area for the night. And the campground is actually, I can still see one of the campgrounds right there. It didn't look like anybody was occupying it, and so I think I'm far enough away from them that I'm not, you know, being insulting by like, I'm not gonna pay you. I'm not gonna pay you, actually. I'm not. I'm camping for free, so yeah. Okay, I'm gonna find some good trees, but yeah, there's gonna be a home sweet home for the night. Hi guys, I'm gonna start looking. So the decision is this tree and this one right here. They're the best for distance apart. So this one has any coconut widowmakers, and this one, it's a younger tree, but also the same. I don't really see any. I see one little coconut, but not so many that I have to worry about. But let me take a break here, and the sun is setting, so I don't really have much choice anyway. That should be high enough out of the debris line. Okay, I gotta set up my tent now. Okay, she's all set up now. I got the low light setting on, and yeah, so it's a good distance too. And in a distance from the ground. So I don't know, like, I started checking, there is actually some trouble looking coconuts, and being from Hawaii, I do know that people, I've heard the stories about people getting smacked in the head. Same person too, like bad luck, like he just got out he got a coconut to the head, got stitches, came back out and got another coconut right on top of them stitches. And I was like, what? But I trust the people that were telling me the story. I was just like, that's crazy, man. It's like the people that get struck by lightning twice. Um, yeah, so like I said, I don't know how high the water's going to come up, even, but I'm assuming a lot of that is the debris line right here. Like, literally, I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of these coconuts came from these trees too, but, yeah, so, but when you're starting to look at the bottles and stuff, all the plastic bottles and stuff are washed up right to about this line, and I'm barely behind it. But I do notice that, like, right over here, looks like, yeah, looks like high tide can go ahead and bring some stuff up and over. But I don't know. Like I said, last time I got hit with a high tide that would have been scary was when I was camping in what was it? I think it was Thailand, and that water came up really high. So yeah, Vietnam was harder to camp in. It's a beautiful spot around here. I am sandwiched between two 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 campgrounds. One's down there, and the other one's just a little on the other side of me over here. And yeah, but hey, man. And actually, this is a one-way street. I didn't realize that. So the only people coming out here should be the ones that want to, they're looking to camp somewhere. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and call it quits. I'm gonna have to get some mosquito stuff on. They're already starting to come out. Put my tarp up because although it's not, I think it's not calling for rain. Red skies at night, sailor's delight, but and weather channels say no, but they are also calling for rain all day today. So the worst thing in the world is not to put up the rain flap and at the last minute just scramble to get it up. I have elastic Velcro elastic straps that I have around it, so I could just put it up initially and just leave the straps up and just jump up if it starts raining and cinch it down real quick. Just use my smaller tarp because that one only has 2 tie downs that I have to worry about instead of 4. I hardly have used that big hex fly at all, so yeah, it really hasn't paid for itself yet. So anyway, guys, yeah, tonight is a camping night, and I'm going to start cold soaking some top ramen and garlic. So good night, y'all, and I'll see you in the morning.